All right, we now, for the balance of the hour, go to our guest. We sell her book, Behind the Green Mask. It is the best little book in the world to give to city council members, zoning authority people like she was in an area of California, to be able to understand what's happening. Because when you wonder why you can't have a light bulb, or why a toilet's away, or why Europe is banning toasters and vacuum cleaners, it's about total control. India and China don't have carbon taxes. We do. It's designed to shut our industries down, and then General Electric gets waivers where they don't get shut down, but all their competition does in coal power. Meanwhile, we have leaking nuclear reactors on fault lines, like the Devil's Canyon facility. Rosa Koire is an author of Behind the Green Mask. She's an executive director of the Post-Sustainability Institute. She's a forensic commercial real estate appraiser specializing in eminent domain valuation. Her nearly 30 years of experience analyzing land use and property value enabled her to recognize the planned revolution sweeping the country. While fighting to stop a huge redevelopment project in her city, she researched the corporate, political, and financial interests behind it and found Agenda 21 from the UN. Impacting every aspect of our lives, UN Agenda 21, sustainable development, is a corporate manipulation using the green mask of environmental concern to forward a globalist plan. Her website is democratsagainstUNagenda21.com. And she's pointed out that, you know, it's a purple coalition of red and blue who don't want to be slaves. I just call it reality. And, of course, they used to say there is no Agenda 21. There is no UN. You know, there is no death panels in Obamacare. On and on and on. Oh, there's no boots on the ground. ISIS is not Islamic. 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4. The Easter Bunny's real. Santa Claus is real. This is the type of stuff we're hearing. Now the New York Times says, because of Rosa Koire and Alex Jones and Glenn Beck and all these other people, it's just terrible. All of our development plans are getting messed up from the UN. The UN does know what to do, and we should follow what UNESCO says. She joins us to give us the state of Agenda 21 and what's happening. Rosa Koire, thank you for coming on with us today.
Glad to be with you, Alex.
So much to talk about. Give us the latest cutting edge, where the battle is, the latest intel.
Well, you know where the battle is. It's right here. And because the war on terror is a war on us. And our minds, the war is on for your mind, as you always say. And this is really where it's at. It's local. It's in your university. It's in your elementary school, all the way up to your postgraduate school. And this is the idea, is to create regional alliances. So it's about breaking down our alliances, our loyalty, our connection with our national identity. And I think it's interesting that you were talking about freedom movements for people around the world, because the idea, anything that destroys the existing order is going to further ultimately Agenda 21, because it's about destroying and transforming what we consider to be normal. And in order to do that, it requires a tremendous transformation. As Al Gore said, it's a wrenching transformation. So this is mental. It's, you know, it's beyond Bernays. This is way beyond Bernays, way beyond Skinner, way beyond Hegel. This is absolutely taking us to a point where we are terrorized, to the point where we are actually going to break with our old identity, with our old alliances, and rearrange the world in a sort of a regional sort of new framework. And this is what the goal is.
That's right. They're bringing in the worldwide cascade of crises. So we go into learned helplessness, roll over and say, just, we'll do whatever you say, just stop it.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, it's very effective because we are just, you know, we're not trained to deal with this level of stress. And so, you know, whether it's Ebola, or you're terrified you're going to get your head cut off when you're on the way to the grocery store, you know, or you're getting patted down like a common criminal when you want to fly and see grandma. This whole, you know, this entire way of destroying your ability to think clearly is a definite plan. This is the way that we are, you know, that this is being determined, is how the main way of thinking can be totally changed. This is actually called second and third order change, and this is part of the way that we're being propagandized.
And for folks that don't know, we'll talk about when we come back. They have their Delphi technique. They go to seminars. None of this is even secret. They all write books about how they're nudging us, they're manipulating us, and they're far from liberal. Thomas Jefferson was a liberal. Voltaire was a liberal. These people are social engineers.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you might call them radical reactionaries who are extremely conservative in what they're going to allow you to think. They may pose themselves as being super, liberal, cool, but in fact, the progressive mindset is restrictive.
All right, I'm going to give you the floor for the balance of the hour. I want you to drill into their overall control grid, what they're doing, the state of the battle, Rosa Koire. Folks, everyone listening, not just because it supports us, it supports Rosa, because we got to put money in the meter to fund this growing operation that's having so much success. But it's about waking up local decision makers, sheriffs, police chiefs, school teachers, professors, zoning boards, PTAs, city councils. Get the book, Behind the Green Mask. Think about it. The government, all the elites have bodyguards, but we can't have guns for ourselves. This is domestication. This is enslavement. And they manipulate our heartstrings to get us to accept wars and turn on our guns in and TSA while the border's wide open. It's all part of the North American Union. It's all part of Agenda 21 on record. The UN treaty, the UN plan, it's all public. Rosa Koire is our guest, a leading expert and a very successful activist on communicating to people what we're facing. Rosa, I want to get into the latest of what's unfolding, but what is, from your view, traveling the country and the world, this is not just in the U.S., it's worldwide, what is the state of their attempted takeover? I see them panicking all over the news, first trying to deny it, now trying to say it's good to be run by the UN. Where is all this going?
Well, where it's going, unless we stop it, is, of course, unfortunately, the reality of one world government or, the clash of the titans. We're talking about full regionalization in, as the lead up to entire globalization, totalitarian state. And that's, this is what the war on terror is about, to, create this perpetual war, that we actually create our enemy and then, continually fund and perpetuate that, so that it actually pushes us into these mega regions, which are then essentially fiefdoms, princedoms, that are going to be used as for totalitarian control. So that's the goal. I think that as I travel around the country and around the world, what I've seen is tremendous rising in awareness, and people who are actually working together to fight this, and they understand it's local. That, there's not really much that you're going to be doing about it internationally, but you are in power locally if you take your power. So what you need to do is be very strong mentally and emotionally to withstand the tremendous power of social propaganda and behavioral modification that's coming at you from the press, from your universities, in every small local organization. Talk about infiltration. I mean, you have major international groups, you have local groups, you have nonprofits. This is all public-private partnerships that are funded through your government, and then work with, for instance, like the Smart Growth Network, which is a United Nations Agenda 21 Sustainable Development Group, which is funded and put together by the Environmental Protection Agency, the United States federal agency. And then it includes lots of private partners, like the American Planning Association. You've got Smart Growth Network, and then you've got universities in there. So in other words, what you see is clusters of groups that have a single focus, and that is to change the way that you think and to disempower you, while giving you the impression that this is making you a better human being. It's about creating the new man, somebody who's, giving back and thinking about others, self-effacing, ego-destroying. This is the concept that's being used throughout schools, throughout local organizations.
And this is what cults classically do with their brainwashed servants. Jim Jones, any of them. They want these little mindless zombies that do whatever they're told while the elites fly around in jumbo jets with red carpets. It is literal mind control.
Yeah, and here's the thing. You don't expect it to come from a government agency. I mean, if you join Jim Jones, you're like, okay, well, it's kind of weird here and I'm off in Guyana for a reason. But no, I mean, you've got this stuff coming at you from NOAA, from the, Oceanographic Agency. You've got it from the EPA.
You got MSNBC saying 2 + 2 = 5, and that our kids don't belong to us. They're purposefully trying to overwhelm us right now.
Yeah, and this is the thing, is that you really, I can't emphasize this enough, how you got to keep your sense of humor, be able to step back from this and say, hey, man, this is, you cannot expect me to fall in line with this line that you're feeding me. Because, this is something, these are people who are truly trained and are actually experts at changing the way that you think and behave. And, I can give you an example. I mean, these are orders of change that are determined and they're taught in universities. This is organizational management. And, you might have the Association for Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education. That's a group that is training professors, no matter what.
Oh, yeah, we have them right here in Austin, and it turns out they're CIA. I'm going to come back to you to explain how they create this artificial spectrum where it looks like every institution is agreeing, but it's all run by the same people. It sounds like it's hard to defeat, but knowing is 90% of the battle. Then it all is so clear.
Hi, I'm Dr. Edward Group. Today I'd like to talk about the war on women. You've experienced and heard about the benefits of super male vitality. Now, the new formula has arrived. Introducing the new Super Female Vitality. I have specifically designed this formula to help the body naturally regulate itself without the use of artificial hormones. Key ingredients chosen from the highest quality sources. Each of these ingredients works synergistically with the female body in order to maximize overall vitality. You've heard the reviews and the feedback on how the original Super Male Vitality has revitalized relationships. Now, both the man and the woman can have the revitalization in their own bodies with Super Male Vitality and Super Female Vitality. Secure your Super Female Vitality today from our limited stock at InfoWarsLife.com.
You are watching the best of The Alex Jones Show, weekdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. Watch live at InfoWars.com/show or become a member of InfoWarsNews.com and help us take resistance to the next level.
It's about shocking us into submission. Just your kids belong to us. 2 + 2 = 5. You didn't build your business. We'd be better off under the Queen of England. England is in shambles just like we are because the globalists are sucking it dry, deindustrializing it. The rich government bureaucrats own steel plants in India and ordered the ones in Sheffield shut down. And then literally British ministers with Pachauri of the UN, who wrote the carbon tax, literally then own the steel mills. I mean, it's unbelievable. Rosa, I'm ranting. Your book's available at InfoWarsStore.com. And everybody should go there and get it and give it to everybody they know. People should buy boxes of this. We can beat these people. As you said, there's a global awakening right now, but we got to go over the top. Because now, even when we wake people up, and we are fighting it all over, you were getting into, we went last year, talked to this UT professor about the Agenda 21 office he has and smart growth. And when I've gone to these conferences, they laugh and admit it's a political takeover because they know the public is so ignorant. The public's ignorance is their strength. Tyranny's strength is the public's ignorance. And it's like light in darkness. As we become informed and understand the conspiracy, and that it's an open conspiracy, and that it's an arrogant conspiracy, we can bring it down. But we have to realize it is a criminal enterprise. Rosa Koire, you've got the floor.
Yeah, well, you said it, Alex. And I don't know if you happen to catch Kissinger. Henry Kissinger had a little article in the Wall Street Journal about a week and a half ago where he was talking about the assembly of the New World Order. And he was talking about, basically that, well, we've got economic integration globally. These people are globalists. We've got economic integration globally, but we haven't gone far enough. We really need, to have a full global system. And the framework for that is already in place with the United Nations. So this is the structure is to, where you've got the Organization of the Islamic States having a, very powerful bloc, and, talking about ISIS, ISIL, whatever they're calling it this week. This is about empowering fundamentalists who are not going to allow dissent. And this is, what we were talking about, like, whether you're going to Guyana with Jim Jones, or whether you're going down to your city council and being berated by your local neighborhood association that's not going to allow you to speak out against whatever thing they're throwing at you this week in your town. It's about not allowing dissent. It's about restriction of thought. And there are people who actually have the nerve to call themselves thought leaders all over the world, who are mainly out of universities and so-called think tanks, who are directing the corporatocracy. This is Agenda 21 is it's the blueprint to inventory and control all aspects of your life, all human activity on the planet. And so what that means is it requires continual assessment and inventory, monitoring, assessment, and change. And this is what your school systems are about. That's what Common Core is really about. It's about assessment, analysis, inventory, and then management of populations. So this is what we're dealing with now, is it's pervading every aspect of our culture all around the world. And anything that, that destroys your existing structure is a boon to this, because it's about throwing you completely out of your equilibrium and destroying any sense that you have control. It's about destroying our independence completely, our individual concept of ourselves as individuals who have the right to resist, to speak out, to be strong. And this is why it's so important for all of us to educate ourselves, because if you don't know you're looking at it, you can be going right along with it. You'd be a good German all by yourself, put on your little uniform, and you don't even realize that you're a part of the plan, unless you have the background and the knowledge that you need to recognize what it is. Because they don't call it United Nations Agenda 21 when you're looking at it in your town. So it might be your climate action plan, the way your universities are taking control through clusters, through innovation ownership, through direction of your mind, through installing sustainable development principles in every aspect of your schooling. And it's not about, we're not talking about recycling and stuff here. We're talking about actual, the way that you think about yourself as a human being, that you are destroying the planet, and that any action that you take that is individual is simply too selfish. Your individual concept of yourself is destroying the planet. And, this is really the way that this plan is forwarded.
So the individual itself is evil.
Yeah, that's right. And so, this is part of the whole third way concept, that you've seen, where, you have to, it's like the Hegelian dialectic, where you have to look at,
free will is thought crime.
Right. And here you are, anything that you're thinking about, that goes against, that's dissenting, where you say, hey, wait a second, let me ask a question here. Slow down. What's the rush? What are we doing here? Let's ask the question. How can we have a sovereign state without a border that's controlled? How can we, teach our children mathematics when they're being inserting huge numbers of steps that have nothing to do with math? Why are our public officials not really representing us? These are the questions we need to be demanding answers to. And the thing is that when you join as an individual with others who are asking these questions, who are demanding the answers, then you have power. When you're cowed, when you're terrified, when you're freaking out, you are not thinking clearly. And this is what, the plan is designed to do, is to destroy your equilibrium, to panic you, and also to make you accept a situation that you never would have accepted if it weren't for a tremendous chaotic crisis.
And CNN says we're in a crisis. The answer is joining the crown.
Right. You too can be part of the huge regional global plan. All you have to do is just go along. And people don't want to resist because it's too difficult, and it creates a sense of stress in them that they might not be accepted by their friends and their neighbors, or they might get in some kind of trouble. So, but you've got to really be courageous. And, hey, what is the point of your life anyway? If you're living as a slave or as some directed individual, it's not really your life at all. So I think that your listeners obviously are people who are independent thinkers, who are people who are clearly looking at the reality of what's going on and demanding, that answers be given them, and that no activity be taken, especially military activities. We're talking about totalitarian control that's being put in place to control us. This is what it's about. Like, for instance, the United States Army just put out a report. I know you know about this, on mega regions, on mega cities, and how they're saying we're not prepared to deal with hand-to-hand combat in cities, in mega cities. But this is the design. This is, okay, so let's pump up the military. Let's give them all their robotics and their drones and everything they need to fight us in New York City. This is the concept. So, we're at this point where we're just reeling. And this is the purpose of it. This is the purpose of what's going on, is public-private partnerships, fascism, and total globalization, to remove our ability to have representative government.
Continue breaking it down.
Hey, this is it. And your university is part of it. Your school system, your local school system, your local nonprofit, your local neighborhood association. You get invited to go comment on, Horizon 2035 or whatever it is in your local town, New York 2040, whatever the plans are, Northeast landscapes, the byways, whatever the plans are, the greenways, the blueways. These are all about inventorying and controlling your activity on the planet, and about restricting your ability to get out into the rural and suburban areas and live freely. If you want to live in the cities, that's fine, but your taxes are actually paying to construct nonprofit and for-profit, low-income and regular income buildings that are inside of your city center, so that you will get out of the rural and suburban areas on your so-called high-speed rail that goes nowhere, doesn't exist, sinks your economy, keeps you trapped in the center of a mega city region where now your military is going to be patrolling with drones. And this is about control. It's literally about the blueprint for control of us all across the world. So whatever your system is, you need to ask, whether it's local in your businesses, in your schools, you need to step back and say, who is heading this up? Who is funding them? Is it the Rockefeller Foundation, the Ford Foundation? Are they the private groups? Is it the EPA, the Department of Transportation, the HUD? Which agencies are paying for this? They were all on the President's Council on Sustainable Development. This is a federal plan moving towards a full global plan. This is the goal. So we need to remove the blinders that we have, stop being panicked, and start taking our power together. Educating ourselves is the most powerful thing that we can do. Because if you don't know what the enemy looks like, you're very likely to be going and volunteering your time for those groups, the groups that are working against you.
And this is not something that can't be defeated. Once you educate the public, once we expose the criminal conspiracy, once people understand that when you're sitting there talking to a major mayor, like the mayor of Austin, who is an Agenda 21 model, UN certified operative, Austin is a model of their global takeover.
Yeah.
They all know full well it's a zoning tax takeover and not about a nice city. They all know it's about insiders getting waivers and nobody else getting it. They're sitting up there literally as organized crime, and I'll say it, knowing what they're doing with techniques and seminars they've gone to for decades to know how to make you feel small, to laugh at you. Lee Leffingwell flips off people that are there talking about Agenda 21. We have video. To make you feel desperate and powerless and to try to end citizens' communication. Because the truth is they know that they've basically hijacked the city as a microcosm. They know, like bank robbers going into a bank. And we're like going, hey, this isn't nice what you're doing. It's really a, nobody's robbing a bank. Keep them in the back tied up. Go on, little kid. Get on out of the way. They're conscious. We're dealing with perps here. This is a giant corporate organized crime cult. It's a military operation.
Yeah. And this is, this is the concept, this is what you're talking about. Cults, fundamentalism, does not allow for any thinking outside of what is permitted. And so, this is what's so frightening, I would say, if you're going to talk about fear, about having, infiltration in your government or your government participating with restricting the way that you think or the way that your ability to express yourself is allowed, simply when you go to a public meeting. In fact, I was just in Alaska, and I was in Kodiak, Alaska, and their city council up there, their borough council, just said, hey, we have decorum rules. So we don't want you questioning the motives of anyone sitting on this council.
That's not decorum rules. That's Soviet-style speech control. Hey, this council's being paid off. Here's the evidence. Officer, arrest that woman. I see these videos all the time. You don't come in here and say this is part of a UN plan, but you've got a UN-certified board member. You're implementing it. You're getting the grant under the treaty. Officer, take that man out of here. And we see the videos. You stand up and say, I don't want my daughter taught 2 + 2 = 6. I don't want fuzzy math. Officer, take that man out of the PTA. And he's like, I had my 3 minutes. I don't like your tone. Officer, arrest that man. And the officer does it. Again, because it is a criminal cult takeover of collectivists that don't build or make something. They go and organize things, set up fraud, work together, and rob us. And I used to think it was only the top 1% of the elite that knew the whole picture. It's gotten so bad now with their training, they all sit around and just laugh at their own events about us. Rosa Koire, in closing, what's the latest they're up to? I know in Austin and all over, they're building city-funded 200-square-foot coffin apartments and then taxing people that have good-size apartments to force social engineering. They are opening the borders up to drive down wages. I mean, it's just a really nasty group of people.
Yeah. What you are talking about is treason. This is organized crime. And the shock is that, of course, it's organized by your own government. It is a takeover. This is not, you're not going to see the tanks rolling down your street right away, anything like that. This is what it looks like when you get taken over. And, the way to block it, to stop it, I don't know how much we can stop it if we don't join together and really become aware. But you can anti-Delphi meetings. You can get the information out to your elected officials who you have elected. You know what? The thing is with your elected officials, they don't always have to agree with you. But if you show up down there with 200 people, they're going to block whatever it is that they were going to do to you. They will stop doing it because they want to stay in office. And this is the only power that we have at this point, is to, we've got our legal power. We are suing to stop a huge regional plan here in the San Francisco Bay Area. That's our Agenda 21 major regionalization plan. You can do things like this too. You go down, you speak out, you elect people who represent you. You don't listen to controlled opposition. You are the resistance. You don't allow people to put words in your mouth or manipulate your children. You expose these collaborators. And this is something that, this is where the rubber meets the road with mega regions, with regionalization, because that is the stepping stone, as Zbigniew Brzezinski said, to full globalization. So when you're in your town and you see these mega buildings getting built, they're supposed to be so fabulous and groovy and have the coffee shop downstairs and your bus lane out in front and all your bikes and all that. This is about concentration of populations.
It's
so
about making it more crowded, more hellish, and just literally micromanaging, surveilling everything we do. That's an Agenda 21. Total surveillance.
Be the resistance. We can do it.
Well, I want you to have a great weekend, Rosa Koire. Thank you so much for your tireless efforts for liberty. Alex Jones here to break down some exciting developments in the area of research concerning supplemental iodine. It's nothing less than phenomenal. I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. And I used some of the mainline iodine supplements and they upset my stomach and I had some issues with it. Until I discovered a product being developed by Dr. Group, who I was already interviewing as an expert on my radio show, and I began taking the product before he actually rolled it out. You now know it as Survival Shield True Nascent Iodine that your body can really absorb. Then, about a year ago, he said, listen, if you think this is powerful, I'm going to come out with rare earth, deep earth crystals that are incredibly powerful that no one else has as a source for their iodine from between 7,000 and 12,000 feet, literally drilled out of the ground. You put it on a hot plate and it turns into the pure gas. No one else has 99.99% pure iodine. And the results that I personally have had have been life-changing. I was over 270 pounds. And with the iodine, exercise, and better diet, I have lost now more than 50 pounds total, and I'm continuing to lose the weight. I have more energy, my libido, all this crap came out of my skin. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. This is innovating. This is trailblazing. And the best part is it helps fund Infowars.com, the radio show, the TV show, the whole media operation promoting true libertarian ideas. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. Take advantage of this unprecedented 30% off Super Detox special at InfoWarsLife.com.